All right, Algebra 1, we went through basically the right side, the solve side yesterday. So we're going to go through the rest of it here in preparation for our Chapter 8 test. So here is the first one here, GCF. So look and see, what can I divide everything by? So number-wise, 10, 15, and 20 all divide by 5. And they all have at least one y and one x. So remember, you can only divide by how many they all have. So they all have at least one. So 5xy comes out, and then you divide to see what's left. So 10 divided by 5 is 2. And then 3 minus, remember there's 1 on the bottom, so you're subtracting 1x away. So 2x squared, y squared. And then the next one, 15 divided by 5 is 3 with no x and no y left over. And then finally, negative 4. So negative 20 divided by 5 is negative 4 with 4 x's left, so x to the fourth, and 1 y left. And since we're not solving, we're done. There's no equal sign there, so we don't have to go any further. That's the difference between the left side and the right side, okay? So same thing here. Number 2, we're grouping, but we don't have to solve at the end. So group the first two, group the last two. What do they both divide by? So these both have 2 x's, so x squared with 1 left plus, and if it's something divided by itself, it's a 1, not 0. And then here, negative 10 divides both of those, and that's going to be positive x plus 10 divided by 10 is 1. And there we go. They match up. Boom, baby. X plus 1. And then the outside gives us the other parentheses there. So x squared minus 10. There you go. Again, you don't have to go any further once you have it factored. There we go. So, number 3, trinomials. So again, on the right side, we had to get those equal to 0 first, but here we don't have to do that. We're just factoring. So what 2 factors of positive 10 give you 7? So 1 times 10, 2 times 5. So 2 plus 5 is 7, both positive. So x plus 2, x plus 5, and there's our factored form. Nothing else to it. No equal sign, so we're done. So this one, we want to look for a GCF, but there is none. So we're going to have to slide the 5 over. So whatever's in front slides over. Get x squared plus 16x plus 15. And now we want to look for what factors of 15 give us the middle. So 1 and 15, 3 and 5. 1 plus 15 is 16. So x plus 1, x plus 15. But since we slide, we must divide by 5. So the one on the right becomes x plus 3. This one doesn't divide, so 5x plus 1. And there's nothing else to that one. So there's our front side there. And so we go to the back side now, and we're going to go ahead and factor as well. So just like the right side, we're going to do difference of squares, but then we don't have to solve at the end. So the square root of 16 is 4, so 4x. And then 81 is 9. So 4x squared, 4x plus 9, 4x minus 9. But that's it. There's nothing else we need to do there once we factor, and we're done. So on the next one, factor completely means there's probably something you have to do first, in this case being a GCF. So GCF there is 2. Divide everything by 2, and we end up with x squared plus 7x plus 12. And so now we want to look at what factors of positive 12 give us the middle. So 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. So x plus 3, x plus 4. And again, this is not your answer because I have to bring down the GCF, and now we're done. So don't forget about the GCF if you had one at the beginning. Okay? So our last two, these are application problems. We might have done this in class already, but again, I want to make sure to reiterate this. Length times width. So x times x minus 3 is your length times width equals 40. So they give you an area, which is 40. So to do this problem, you have to first distribute and then get it equal to 0. So x squared minus 3x equals 40. Now get it equal to 0 by subtracting 40. So x squared minus 3x minus 40 equals 0. And now I'm going to factor this just like we've been doing. So negative 40. That's 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 3 doesn't work, 4 and 10, 5 and 8. So what two factors subtract to get 3? That'd be 5 and 8. Specifically, 5 minus 8 to get negative 3. Okay? And so I put those into parentheses. X plus 5, x minus 8 equals 0. And since it's an equal, we're trying to find answers, you just write x equals negative 5, the opposite, and x equals positive 8, the opposite. But you're only going to keep the one that makes sense. So if we're looking for length, which is what we're looking for there, negative 5 for a length doesn't really make sense. So my final answer is going to be 8 yards. 8 yards for the length. Okay, so you got to distribute, get it equal to 0, and factor. So our last one here, Elizabeth and Lorenzo both factor, but only one factored correctly. So if I'm looking at this, this is difference of squares. So 16 is going to give us 4. So they both had that, but only one had x to the 4th becoming what it needs to be. So x to the 4th goes down to x to the 2nd. Okay, so this is where you kind of write it in your own words, but in this case, Lorenzo factored it correctly, while Elizabeth factored it incorrectly because why? Well, this is where you can kind of make your own words, but 16x to the 4th should factor into 4x squared and 4x squared, not 4x. Not 4x and 4x, okay? Again, that's just one description. It doesn't really matter how you explain as long as you're explaining what they did wrong, okay? So that's your practice test. Your test itself will look very similar. So if you need to look through your answers, I'll just keep it on the screen for a second so you can pause it if you need to on any given point. So here's these two. Pause if you need to. And then these two, trinomials. And then the last section, the first section really, GCF and grouping. So any of those you need to pause or go back to, feel free to do so, and we'll be ready for our test tomorrow and Friday. Okay? Peace.